one of the most amazing things that happens in First Fruit is that the whole community, all the Jewish people, would come once a year on the day of the First Fruit, or the festival season, and they would recite Deuteronomy 26 from verses 5 to 10. And really what it's saying is that we are God's people, we belong to Him, and that He has saved us from Egypt, from the oppression of Egypt, and He has saved us, and He showed us many signs and wonders. It was a clear acknowledgement that without God would be nothing. And then they began to talk about, in that same chapter, about how God brought them to the land of milk and honey, and that everything that they produce comes from God. So bringing the first fruits was a clear acknowledgement that this belongs to God, and we need to bring back what belongs to God. The significance is staggering. The motivation that the Israelites had with regards to first fruit is incredible. And so we discover now, as a New Testament believer, what does that mean for me? Well, first of all, I'm not a farmer. I don't have livestock. How do I do that? Well, the Bible tells us that they also gave gold and silver as part of their first fruits. And so we begin to discover that it's about your best and it's about your first, since Bikurim means the first ones in the first place. I think one of the most amazing drama in eternity took place during the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and even post that. The people during that season, in that particular time, would come to Jerusalem to bring their first fruits. Significantly, the day of the first fruit was offered during the day of the Pentecost. And for us Pentecostal Christians, that is our most significant day. It's the birth of the New Testament church. I find it incredibly interesting that it was on that day that the people of God would come to bring their first fruit during the season of the first fruits, starting from the time of the Passover up to the day of the Pentecost. The Jewish nation would come to Jerusalem to bring their first fruits. Can you imagine in eternity what would have been happening? Here they are celebrating their first fruit season, the festivals of the first fruits. But all the while, God also is giving us His first fruit. You know what I believe what's significant about that is this: even before they could bring their best, God was already giving them His best. I believe that spiritual principle is so clear for us today. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 20 and 23, that Jesus is the first fruit of God for us. It's phenomenal when you think about that. The first fruits are an important offering to God. So important that He called His own Son His first fruits. That's why I believe where we need to get our motivation from, rather than trying to work out calculations and legalistic notions or anything else. It's about your best and your first, because God gave you His best, His first, and His only one.